Hello everyone, ATR here, and it's patch time. So today, the 18th of February, we got hit with the Aftermath update, and we shall go through this and see what changes were in store. Now, also, we did get an update last week, which was secret, and that has since been revealed. So we'll talk about that a little bit after that, or after this. But yeah, let's just head straight into it. It's a lot to cover, so let's see. So anyways, let's just go through the highlights, then we'll go through the patch notes over here. But yeah, so it says here that battle servers. Battle servers provide another major step towards addressing the lag issue that many players are experiencing in multiplayer games. Previously, players with poor internet connections or low-spec hardware would cause all players in the game to lag in order to keep the game in sync. With the introduction of battle servers, players with slow machines or connections won't pass that lag onto all other players in a match. So if you have a sweet machine and connection, you should experience a big improvement. So whatever that means as far as, logistics for them, well, whatever, it apparently means that it's going to be a little bit less lag for everybody, so that's always good. Next says the community map. So Uncle Sam put in his awesome map, which is Crossing in the Woods, which is a 2 to 4 player map, and it's pretty awesome. We'll check it out in a little bit after we go through the changes here. But yeah, so that's pretty nice. The first community map to actually hit Company Heroes 2, so that's very, very nice. Obviously, you can still play other maps with the workshop, but this is like the first official one that is introduced into the auto match pool. Then we have a new map list feature. Now that there are a lot more maps, we've added a more intuitive way to select one you want. So whatever that means. New surrender feature. A lot of people were, looking for that, so that's nice if you want to concede a match. Balance update. Yeah, well, we don't need to see a video. We're seeing this video, right? So we'll take a look at those, and then some bug fixes that also there. So let's go ahead and jump into the changelog and see what has changed. So implementation of the battle servers, like we saw. Improvement to the surrender user interface, the multiplayer map selection improvements, and various bug fixes. So that's good. Now, added community, the map, which, yeah, you know what? Before we jump into the rest of the changes, let's take a look at the map. It is right here, so boom, there you go. Let's go ahead and resume. Not really going to play, but we'll, I don't know, we'll just send this guy to the center to take a look at the map. But yeah, I mean, essentially, river crossing, like it says, it's a river, map separated by a river. All 3 victory points are in the middle. You have one right here in the bridge. You have another one on the left in the middle of the river. One on the right, like the same, in the middle of the river. You have the munitions just flanking the points in between them. And then at the very edges, you have the fuel points, each one on one side of the river. So pretty even map. The strategic points lining your base or your side of the map are pretty open. You can see there's not a lot of cover in them, so it should make for some interesting games. Not a lot really to say. We're gonna wait until we have some replays to appreciate the map a little bit better, but you can see right there the way the map looks. So the heavy cover right here, you can go to places. So pretty nice. Looks very nice. So hopefully we'll have some awesome games in that. Anyways, let's go ahead and just stop that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about those changes that got made. So first off, it says AI updates. Well, I suppose it doesn't really matter much to me considering the replays, but essentially just improving the AI. I mean, no longer detects or attacks mines, no longer use artilleries in the fog of war if they can't see anything. They will now garrison buildings more often. They're going to repair bridges and destroy HQs. AI interrupts the ambient tactic behaviors much less. I don't know exactly what that means, but, well, it does it less, so that's good. The AI will cause weapon teams to tear down less often, so MG42s and things will stay in place a little bit more frequently. And also, it says increased retreat and avoidance delays for all AI difficulties. So it takes them longer to retreat, meaning that you can sometimes get kills a little bit more easily, so that's nice. Now, let's see here. For the balance. Now, this is the important thing that everybody wants, right? So it says command point pacing. We wanted to improve the early game ebb and flow by slowing down unit progression. This reduction in progression better highlights the intricate tactics at each stage of the game. So pretty much all this is a nerf. There are a couple things that aren't, but let's go through them. So the mortar half-track for the Germans from 1 to 2 CPs. The Jaeger infantry package from 2 to 3. Ambush camouflage is one of the few buffs. It's from 2 to 1, so you can use that ambush ability, the cloak, a little bit earlier. The Panzer IV Command Tank from 7 to 8, the Pak-43 7 to 8, the Left Artillery 7 to 8, the Tiger from 9 to 10, and also the Stun Grenade is from 2 to 1. Now this is a, well, I guess you could say buff because it comes out earlier. However, there are some changes later on that, well, not necessarily a nerf, but essentially it's going to cost you more to use that ability. So who knows if it's going to see any play regardless. I haven't actually seen it personally used a lot, maybe once or twice in my replays, but whatever. Anyways, Soviets, for the Soviets, these are all nerfs. So it's the M42 AT gun from 1 to 2, the heavy machine gun from 1 to 2, the 120mm mortar from 1 to 2, shock troops and guards from 1 to 2, conscripts assault package from 2 to 3, the T-34-85 from 7 to 9, the howitzer, or well, the 203 howitzer from 7 to 8, the ML-20 howitzer from 7 to 8, the IS-2 from 9 to 10, the incendiary artillery from 6 to 7, KV-1 7 to 8, and the partisan tank hunters from 1 to 2. So yeah, all nerfs in that sense that they come out later. Obviously the abilities are the same for the most part, but you know, they're going to take a little bit longer to be able to come into play. Units and abilities. Better align unit performance with its effectiveness in-game. A few notable changes include reduced lethality on the IL-2, which, the skill strafe that everybody was saying, it was a little bit too overpowered, so they've made some changes on that. It still has the capacity to wipe out a squad, but should be a bit more forgiving now. Combat Engineers saw a price decrease, better reflect their in-game value. S Minefields had a few adjustments to increase their viability as well. I like these two. But anyways, let's go into it. So the Pak-43 no longer requires Battle Phase 2, which is nice because it's a doctrinal ability, so it makes sense that it doesn't require any, you know, usual tech, because that's pretty much how everything else behaves. You can go techless, for example, with the Soviets and call in your heavy tanks without needing to actually have a tier 2 or, I mean, a tier 3 or tier 4, so yeah, that makes sense. The conscript assault package has been increased from 10 munitions to 30 munitions, but it now gives you 3 PPSH machine guns. So we'll see how that reflects as far as the power of the conscripts once they have that. Precision strike, essentially it's just an accurate shot. It says it now deals the same amount of damage as the main barrage weapon, and added angle of distance and scatter to the B4 precision strike to bring it in line with similar abilities. So yeah, I mean, essentially it's nothing, you know, it's not a different shell, it's the same thing, it's just a more accurate shot, which is nice, and it makes sense. The IL-2, its damage reduced from 20 to 8, so it's significant. The lead-in and lead-out were changed. Who knows how that affects it, really. And the cost was reduced to 180 munitions instead of 240, so it did get a reduction in damage, but it also got a reduction in cost, so it should be, I guess, a little bit more balanced there. We'll see exactly how it turns out. After a couple, you know, games that we cast, we should be able to see the effect on it, right? Now, the S Minefield, I like that this has been changed. Hopefully we're going to see it come into play, as before nobody used it. I think I only saw it being built once in one of my replays, and it didn't really work. So yeah, it says here that the cost was reduced by 20, so it's now 60 munitions. The build time was drastically reduced. It used to take 40 seconds, which also made it, you know, ridiculous to actually use, because your pyos would be there for a long while. It's now 10 seconds, which is much more reasonable. The spacing was also reduced from 13 to 7, so it's a little bit more clumped up, meaning more, you know, potential to get kills. And the minefield can now be rotated to better enable the placement, so that's pretty nice. So you can spin it around. The M5, which is a half-track anti-air, was increased in cost from 90 to 120 munitions, but the damage was increased from 4.8 to 8, which is nice, so we'll see how good this comes out. Panzer Tactician, reduced in cost from 40 to 30, so we'll see that being used a lot more. The Armored Car got its damage reduced from 25 to 20, and that is the autocannon upgrade. And the upgrade also got reduced in cost, so it's less effective, but it also costs less, so we're probably going to be still seeing it be used anyways. Target weak point was changed so that it now multiplies the penetration of the tank by 2 rather than setting it to a static 1000 value, which means it's not always going to penetrate, so depending on what's shooting it is how good it's actually going to be. And the Brumbard target weak point cost was moved from 30 to 40 munitions. I would have thought that all target weak points were the same cost, but apparently not. Combat Engineer reduced to 210 manpower. I like this. It may make actually going for multiple Combat Engineers, you know, not to say it wasn't viable, but more appealing, because, well, at 240 manpower, if you didn't really need to repair something or weren't going for a strategy that required more Combat Engineers, like, say, going for Flame Scout cars, well, you're probably better off building a conscript since it can fight. So yeah, it's only 30 manpower, so it's not a big difference, but it may be enough to, see them used a little bit more. I don't know, maybe opening with combat engineers going into penals. I don't know. We'll see what comes out of this, but I like that. The Blitzkrieg increased to 40 munitions, so we'll see how that really affects it. We're probably going to still see Blitzkrieg being used a lot. And here we go. Commanders. The Tiger Ace and Soviet industry were not consistent in terms of value relative to their commander abilities within the game. No shit. They were adjusted to better bring them in line while maintaining their unique flair and additional tactical and strategic value to the game. The Tiger Ace has had its extreme damage and health values removed to bring it in line with other units. It now contains the veterancy modifiers granted to a Vet 3 Tiger 1, maintaining its threat on the field. Soviet industry has been removed to 3 CP. This reduces the impact of the commander to the early game, preventing extremely early vehicle use rushes. The increased CP pacing on this ability also makes the commander less punishing, as early manpower attrition is significantly less debilitating on the commander. So, the Tiger Ace, well, a lot of changes happened to it, so let's go through them. Tiger Ace costs from 0 to 800 manpower, so that's already a big improvement. It's no longer free, it costs you 800 manpower. Would have liked to see some fuel costing added to it, but it's at least okay that it cost you something. Now, the Tiger Ace command point from 16 to 14, which means it's going to come out earlier. Tiger Ace no longer reduces all resources to 0, so this is a slight buff, but at the same time, potentially a nerf. I mean, it's a rebalancing, so I do like this effect. So it says it now reduces the manpower income by 25% and your fuel income by 90%. Makes it very difficult to field more vehicles unless you already stockpiled some fuel. Until the Tiger Ace is destroyed. So that's a key change. Now, when it originally came out, it put your resources to 0, which was just, I mean, I think it was okay, even though it was ridiculous, I guess you could say, but it was okay. Then they made the change so that it only took that effect by 10 minutes, which was a ridiculous buff to it because it was super strong, and then after 10 minutes, especially in team games, you can keep it alive for 10 minutes, and then you're back to normal, and you have a Tiger Ace. So now, what they do is they don't stop it at 0. You're still going to get your income. You're going to have your munitions like you normally would. Your fuel is reduced to only 10% of it. And your manpower is cut by 25%. But it's as long as the Tiger Ace is alive. So if you keep it alive, your resources are still going to be impacted as long as it stays alive. Once it dies, you're back to normal. And you can potentially keep on, going into the game like you normally would otherwise. But, I mean, I like it. It's okay. But, I don't know. We'll see how it affects it. Now, it says that the Tiger Ace previous veterancy modifiers replaced with Tiger veterancy modifiers. This removes the double health and damage in exchange for faster rate of fire, improved accuracy, and improved mobility. Tiger Ace retains its increased sight range and lethal coaxial hull machine guns. So, essentially, the Tiger Ace just comes up as a buffed, well, not buffed, as a veteran, like automatically veteran Tiger. It does have some key differences, like it says there. It does have more sight range, and the machine guns are lethal, so it's still gonna do a lot of damage to infantry and such like that. So it's not a cakewalk. Now, the values of the Tiger are gonna be the same as a normal Tiger, aside from that sight range and the machine gun, and it gets an increase in the veterancy. It comes at veterancy 3, which gives it increased accuracy, increased rate of fire, and increased mobility. It's about 20% all around. There's some that are 10 or something, but yeah, I mean, essentially it's a slightly better Tiger that has already acquired veterancy. So we'll see how much it impacts the game. Hopefully it reduces those games where, you see players for the most part, dominating the other player, and then all of a sudden he comes out with a Tiger Ace and wins. Now it's just more of a, a good unit that you can build, but not a win all card, right? Not a win button. So we'll see. Anyways, so yeah, the acceleration decreased, and these are all just essentially making it the same as the Tiger normal. And the target weak point ability has been added to it. So yeah, it's nice. Anyways, the Model 24 stun grenade cost from 15 to 20 munitions. It's what I was saying before. It comes out earlier, but it does cost you a little bit more. It's only 5 munitions more, but it is, a little bit of a nerf to it. Now, troop training. This is the veterancy essentially from the elite troops. it used to pretty much recharge instantly. It now takes 30 seconds to recharge. It also used to cost 55 manpower and 20 fuel. It now costs 80 manpower and 25 fuel. So a big nerf to this one. You'll still see it used, definitely. I don't think people are going to stop using it. And I actually think that the 30-second recharge on it is kind of a benefit towards it, because instead of spamming it and blowing all your fuel, it kind of forces you to, well, not forces you, but it kind of maintains your economy with it, because you have to wait 30 seconds before you can spend another 25 fuel. So your income will come into play on that, so you can kind of just keep using it on recharge if you have a healthy fuel income, for the most part. But well, we'll see how much of an impact it is. We'll still see it used regardless. And the Soviet industry, like they said, the CP cost from 0 to 3. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to have any effect as soon as you start the game, but once you hit 3 CPs, well, you're going to be seeing what you usually see with that. And then garrison cover, it says, unit and garrisons were too vulnerable to small arms fire, reducing the desirability of garrisons. We want to better align the initial goal of softening garrison cover without removing its tactical value. So we saw before that buildings and garrisons were made so that you only had now a 35% defensive buff on them. And well, I guess they think now it's a little bit too much. So what I did here is that the damage modifier and accuracy has been increased. Well, not increased, reduced by 10%. So we'll see if that 10% makes a big difference, or if it's roughly the same, just a little bit better. We'll see. But yeah, that's all the changes that happened in this patch. Now, another thing that changed before that, for some reason I don't have it ready here, which is my bad, is the inclusion, or not the inclusion, the release of commanders. They added 2 commanders to the game that are currently free because of the where is it? I can't actually find it. Maybe over here. No, not here. I'll get to it in a second. But anyways, yeah, they added the commanders because of the winning of the Make Love Not War thing that was going on. And yeah, this one right here. Here it is. Since they won that, they got doctrines that were free. Let's go ahead and do that. So we have the German close air support doctrine. All you have to do is just go to Steam and select it, and it's free. You just install it or whatever, and it'll activate onto your account. And it's pretty cool. It gives you, like you can see there, the icons. It gives you the reconnaissance, redistributable resources, so turning munitions. Turning fuel into munitions. And you have anti-infantry strafe, anti-tank strafe, and Stuka bombing. So a lot of air abilities there for the Germans. And we also have for the Soviets. Where is it? Here we go. The Soviet commander is the, what is it called? The Advanced Warfare Tactics. Now this one, a lot of players are saying it's a little bit OP, and I would kind of agree, but it obviously looks awesome. It gives you the radio intercept, which is the map hacks that lets you see, well, not see, but it tells you what your opponent is building. Then you have conscript, the PPS Aegis, repairs for the conscript, a T-3485 Colin. This is just a single tank though. It's not the combat group, so it's not 2. It's just 1 tank, but it's still a T-3485 to call in on that, and an IL-2 strafe. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this one is different from the other, or if it was just introduced with the new values. I had some confusion there. I haven't personally used it. But yeah, those 2 are currently free. Just go and get them on Steam. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be forever or it's just a limited time, but if you want some free commanders, just go ahead and get those because, well, why wouldn't you, right? And yeah, that's about it. I don't think there's much else left to say. I don't have any replays right now to show because, well, obviously the patch just hit, so there's no replays uploaded just yet. But as soon as I get some, I'll start making some casts, and hopefully we can see some on the new map, which looks pretty awesome for games. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, found this useful, and I will see you next time.